Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We're glad that you're here. We're going to be presenting on the non-congregate shelter this afternoon. Any questions that you may have, and just kind of going over the NOFO and the application. Today's webinar will be from 1 to 2, and I'll mention it again throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. You can stop me, raise your hand, and use the Q&A. And even if you have questions after this is over with, we encourage you to use the survey, and I'll go over that here in a little bit. The session is going to be recorded. It will be posted to DCA's YouTube page. This PowerPoint will be available as well and linked to the NOFO webpage later this week. Ask questions throughout. Like I said, just raise your hand or use the chat box. Q&A will end at 2, but we'll continue to review questions through the NOFO through Monday, April 14th, closing it at 5 o'clock. It'll give us a little bit more time to answer and respond to your questions before the application period ends the following Friday, April 18th. And again, this is for any application submissions. If you have anything that's just relevant to that application submission, if you see anything that's wrong or a link that may be broken, just reach out to Ilona Nagy, who is the HOME-ARP manager, and her email address is here on the screen. Today, we're just going to go over the NOFO, review the attachments and the applications, go over the considerations again, and the post-award requirements and dependencies. And again, stop me if you have any questions or thoughts. So this is the overview. Going to go over the purpose, the funding and awards available, the NOFO requirements, the application timeline, the submission requirements, and the evaluation process and prioritization. Projects awarded under this NOFO will be eligible to receive a funding award in the form of a cost reimbursement grant for the new construction of non-congregate shelter or acquisition and or rehab of existing structures such as motels, nursing homes, etc., to be converted into a non-congregate shelter. An optional supportive services funding award in the form of a cost reimbursement grant to support housing stability for qualifying populations in the non-congregate shelter, which must be spent by January 1st, 2030. As many of you know, the HOME-ARP program will sunset in 2030. A cost reimbursement grant requires project owners to pay for costs associated with the project upfront and allows DCA to reimburse those expenses based on documentation submitted, such as invoices, receipts, and a draw request form. The construction grant terms and requirements: the grant minimum is $250,000 and the maximum is $5 million. And the funding again is to be spent by January 1st, 2030. Eligible applicants are nonprofits with a 501c3 or 4 tax-exempt status serving citizens or a city or county government in Georgia. Again, eligible activities are new construction, acquisition, and or rehabilitation of non-congregate shelter. And for the purposes of new construction of non-congregate shelter only, the acquisition of vacant land and the demolition of existing structures. Application limitations: each applicant may only submit one application for review under this NOFO. Applicants may also apply for the optional supportive services funding, but cannot elect to apply for that on its own. It must be in conjunction with the application for non-congregate shelter. We have a separate NOFO that's going out for supportive services that we hope will be posted before the end of the day today. There's a minimum of 3 units, but no maximum project size or unit count. DCA reserves the right to utilize the resources listed and or additional DCA resources, if available, to maximize grant efficiency as circumstances necessitate. Applicants must be compliant with DCA's development and management requirements, be in good standing with the Office of Housing Finance, the Office of Portfolio Management, and the Office of Community Housing Development regarding any tax credit or home NHTF properties or other federal funds, and any DCA and GHFA loans. Submission requirements. There will be an emphasis application. The link is to be posted today. That was actually one of the questions we got that I'll go over here in just a little bit. It will be posted today. We also need a completed service plan, the budget Excel workbook with all attachments 1 through 8, the evidence to support the rating factor criteria, including leveraging and readiness to proceed, experience and ability to provide positive shelter outcomes, proven need and people with lived experience, services offered and amenities available to participants, and all other documentation and evidence required by the rating factors. I did realize that when I looked at the spreadsheet that was sent out, the workbook, that it's 1,000% my fault that some of the attachments that I had taken out of the actual NOFO were still in that first instruction tab of the workbook. So these are the required attachments. Does anybody have any questions on these attachments? There was just one that was still in there that we were able to remove. But it's, again, your nonprofit IRS 501c3 or 4 determination, audited financial statement with a management letter from a CPA firm, any MOUs outlining the roles and responsibilities of all additional service providers, evidence of zoning, site control, documentation of marketing and outreach in compliance with the Fair Housing Act, a map that will show all the amenities within a 5-mile radius of the project, and preliminary plans for new construction or rehab of non-congregate shelter. Some of the considerations with this non-congregate shelter NOFO. Projects must adequately plan for the long-term financial and physical health of the property. Applications must reflect adequate resources of financing to operate the non-congregate shelter through the duration of the compliance period, because again, this funding is mainly for the sticks and bricks of the building. We cannot supply operating costs. During the review, DCA will consider the following priorities: the maximum request and the history of shelter operation. Non-congregate shelter options during the restricted use period. The non-congregate shelter may remain a HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter in compliance with the requirements of the notice. The shelter can be converted to permanent affordable housing or be converted to permanent housing as defined in Subtitle C of Title 4 of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. And that is something that will, of course, be in the written agreement from the get-go. HOME-ARP authorizes the conversion of HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter units into permanent housing under Subtitle C of Title 4 of McKinney-Vento, or permanent affordable housing as described in the HOME-ARP notice during the restricted use period. Again, the written agreement between DCA and the owner of the HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter project must describe the conversion as a possible outcome of the HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter project, specify the conditions under which conversion will be permitted, and require that DCA approve any conversion in advance. A service plan will need to be submitted with your application, and it's required for all applicants for funding. Affirmative marketing to the 4 qualified populations. Be proactive on outreach in your community and market to and referrals for the 4 qualifying populations. And this is just a small synopsis. QP1 is homeless. QP2 is at risk of homelessness. QP3 is domestic violence and trafficking. And QP4 is those who are severely house cost burdened, who are paying more than 50% of their income towards rent. Appendices and post-award requirements. So the construction submissions, the non-congregate shelter project team must submit documents to DCA throughout the design and construction stages. All environmental requirements do apply, and if you are planning on constructing 12 plus units. Of course, Davis Bacon would come into play there. The application dependencies, all the definitions are there, the property and construction standards, including the minimum HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter rehab standards and construction standards, as well as the ongoing property standards and inspections. Do we have any questions so far? I want you to know that we have worked super hard on building out this program to where we're going to give you as many tools as we can to make this successful. We have developed a QP declaration form that every single applicant of any form of DCA HOME-ARP funding will complete. That way it'll be right there with you, black and white, and it will stay in that participant's file for the lifetime of the grant. Leah, I see you say, when it comes to reimbursements, do you have a guesstimate for time frame for reimbursement once submitted? Alona, can you jump in here and maybe answer that one?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi guys, how are you? We are super busy trying to get everything uploaded today for y'all, and at the end, my hope is we have enough time to give you a quick training on emphasis in order to submit for non-congregate shelter as well. So thanks everyone for participating. As for the question for reimbursements, the time frame is once it's submitted, as long as you guys are really good on the information that you submitted. And so we don't have any clarification. So just again, you guys need to have solid record keeping and making sure that all your expenses are a part of the written agreement and that they aren't outside of what the requests are. So if all of your documentation that you submit is correct, our goal is to have it turned around within 30 days. We are working now to figure out if it's something that we're going to do through eCivis or a different, or emphasis actually. What are the other, eCivis or emphasis? I know a lot of you nonprofits out there are really familiar with the eCivis program. Sorry, I had to so many different programs right now, and we're actually working it out with Heather and her team, as well as our team with emphasis, which is Jamish and Nahar, to figure out the best course of action for y'all. So but I think that there's really some great processes with eCivis where you guys can submit it online, and then it kind of gets plugged into DCA's steps, and then you can see where it's at in the full line. But we've already talked with our upline and our management around the turnaround time, because we know that you guys, it being a reimbursable grant, is really important for y'all to have money. So so just know that that's kind of on the forefront, and I've mentioned it ad nauseum to other people. So it's definitely something that we want to make sure that gets completed for y'all. I hope that answers your question, Leah. I feel like I'm just kind of talking a lot about. I hope that answers your question. So we also have, I think Laura Ann answered that. Will project-based vouchers be included? So it's for the video. So just letting people in the webinar know. The question was, will project-based vouchers be included in this NOFO similar to the supportive housing NOFO earlier this year? And Laura Ann's response was, project-based vouchers are not available for non-congregate shelter awards as they are not leases. So that's the biggest difference between the two, just to clarify with y'all. Non-congregate shelter, no leases, no formal commitments for people to live there because it's a shelter. In contrast to that, where the rental housing NOFO that was just collected a week or two ago, actually I think 2 weeks now, is you do have to have leases for every unit. So that's that. Okay. So that's I think we're done with the questions that we've seen. Jody, I know you have a few more slides, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you unless you have anything else that you want me to add until you're ready for the little training. So just let me know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Alona. We wanted to put in these slides, and of course, we will have all these Q&As available on the website. One of the questions that we got is, I would like to confirm that this NOFO is for balance of state agencies only. If we serve Atlanta, Fulton, and DeKalb, we would be ineligible, correct? And that is not correct. Page 12 of the non-congregate shelter NOFO states the following: the eligible projects will be prioritized in jurisdictions that are not located within other HOME-ARP participating jurisdictions. But eligible projects in other HOME-ARP PJs are still encouraged to apply, as DCA will make award decisions based on the applications we receive. So absolutely, even if you're outside of the balance of state, we still encourage everyone to apply. And Alona just briefed us a little bit on emphasis. The second question was, page 8 of the 2025 HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter NOFO states DCA will accept applications via emphasis. However, a link to emphasis is not provided. Can you please provide the link for the application submission? And absolutely, that will be released today. Before we get into the training, do we have any additional thoughts, questions, or considerations? And again, if you would like to take yourself off mute, if that's something that I need to do, if you want to raise your hand, I will ensure that that you can ask your question verbally as opposed to using the chat or the survey. Okay. Some of the key takeaways for you to consider are the long-term sustainability, the considerations during the restricted use period, operating costs, because again, that's not something that this funding can provide, working well with your service providers, and low barrier services. Okay. We're going to have another Q&A next week, Tuesday of next week from 10 to 11. This right here is the QR code for that meeting. And Alona is going to take it over now so that she can kind of go over the application process. And I will hand it over to our fearless leader, Alona Nagy.
Thanks, Jody. Great
My
job.
pleasure.
You're doing great. Thanks everyone for your patience. So grateful. You guys are getting a hot off the presses review of the application. And so I know y'all have had the NOFO. You've been prepping all of your responses, which is awesome. I know you had your the Excel workbooks, and you guys are putting that together. That's fabulous. So I'm going to share my screen because I know emphasis may be new for several of you. So, and it's even a little new for me. So, if you guys have any further questions, I will be able to answer some of them. I'm not going to even say most of them, but I know people. So there are people I can ask. So this is the emphasis kind of cover place that you're going to, when you log into emphasis, this will show up. If you have not registered yet, the registration is really easy, and you will hit this little registration button right here, and it'll take you to this particular site. You would put in your new username, your email address, any new passwords, and then your business name. So just make sure that your passwords are required to be a minimum of 8 characters in length, and then you would register and you are good to go. Okay. So once you do that, you're going to log on. Give me a quick second, everyone. So you got to be careful about what we're showing. And okay. So you're going to want to submit an application. So So yeah, there's a test. You're going to submit an app. Oh, you don't want to submit. Well, I guess. Okay, no, that's not what we wanted. Okay. Because I just did this, and this is new to me too. Let me do one more thing. Give me a quick second. Oh, that's what I need to do. That's what it is. Okay. So there we go. Much better. It's going to be obnoxiously big, and I apologize. In the top right corner, you're going to see this little guy here that says fill out an application. You're going to click that. And you are going to have some options here to fill out an application. And one of them is going to be for the HOME-ARP non-congregate shelter. Okay. Kind of do the test application. So there we go. Much better. So it's going to look like this for the first page. So I apologize for the insanity there for a minute. So this goes over the NOFO application submission requirements, thoroughly review all sections and requirements of this application. The deadline for the non-congregate shelter NOFO application is 5 p.m. on April 18th. Please direct any questions to me. You're just going to press save and next. We tried to make this as easy as possible. So please know that going in. This is just general overview information. If it takes you more than a half an hour, I could be a little concerned. The hardest part should be the uploads. So this is really just your organizational name. And see, I have a lot of fake stuff in here just because I was doing a tester. And it's not working. Let's see if it'll save it next. Oh, it's freaking out. Okay. We may have to pause this because it's not letting me move forward. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to go through each of these sections to the left, excuse me. And essentially what you're going to want to see is this little check box for every section here. Jody, I'm going to clear this. There we go. It's no longer freaking out. Okay. Processing. Let's try this again. I apologize for bumbling through this, guys. Processing. And essentially what you're going to be doing is just saving and nexting. If this is a new construction, you're going to go ahead and state that. If you want to acquire or if you want to rehab, that's the requirements that you're going to have to put in there. We'll make this one a rehab type of application so that way we know. So let's just say you have a hotel that you want to rehab. Save and next. So this is the development name. So you would go ahead and state project Hope. No, it's the number 1. And then you would go ahead and give us the address, 111 Main Street, the nearest physical address, in case it's just a plot of land, but it would be 111 Main Street, your city, Abeville, and it's 3, I don't know, making something up, 2645. And you may not know your 4-digit code there. The county is in Appling, which I know they probably aren't there. It would be Baxley. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. Is this a phased development? Okay, so master plan versus no master plan. This is if you have a plan to build it out into several different phases. And you can say yes, but no master plan. Scattered site, if you're doing it on several different sites. The number of sites I last used was 3, and I said 4 acres. Do you have site control of the proposed site? If you say yes, that's great. You can explain, or no, you can explain there. Total HOME-ARP units, so the total units and total square footage. So if you have 20 HOME-ARP units, the total square footage is, let's say, 1,000 square feet. Well, that would be really big. We could either do really small or really big. Maybe 500 square feet. So then that would be what, 10,000? I'm doing my math right. And then the total units in development, let's have them be 40 because you're using maybe local funding. And then that would be 20,000 square feet. And then number of residential buildings, it could be one. Number of non-residential buildings could be one. And that would be like your community centers or your offices. And yeah, so you would add those. And then if it's mixed use, so if you have your so say like, actually, I just spoke with someone today from Kansas, and there was a proposal out there that they would have a hotel, and it was mixed with their offices, and I think that they were doing a mixed use with apartment complexes as well as a shelter. So if you have like a lot of different things that are going into the property, this is mixed use. Tenancy characteristics, this is if you want to serve other populations, and I thought I had fixed this, but it didn't work. So if you just want to serve homelessness, we are putting out the substantial amendment. It's out for public comment right now on our website. And so with the with the substantial amendment, excuse me, you'll be able to potentially limit or preference populations for your shelter. So, and if you don't have another, that's fine. Project placed in service date, we said it was a rehab, so we want to have, nope, I think we just want the one. We want it to be 01/01/2027. Any comments and clarifications for your non-congregate shelter? And guys, just to know, you can expand this or contract it as much as you want. So if you want to go ahead and make it bigger in order to fill it out, again, I highly recommend you do these questions on a Word document or something similar to that, where you can just cut and paste it in just in case for whatever reason, you lose power or something gets shut down, because you always know that could happen. And then that way it's saved. So that's your comments and clarifications. I'm just going to put a 0 there right for now. And as you can see, every time I go through and save and next, it checks the box. But you can also go through and just click on the sections and they will update for you. Okay. If any development team members are unknown at the time, just enter TBD or NA and include an explanation on the comment section. So save and next. So this is who's going to own it, which would be y'all, or whoever's the final ownership of the non-congregate shelter. Could be a nonprofit, a for-profit, or a local jurisdiction. So we're going to say nonprofit, and it's Project Hope. And we're going to do save and next because there are stars there. If you have a specific developer's name that you're working with, go ahead and state that name. So we'll just call it Project Hope Development. And then, like it stated before, just go ahead and put NA not applicable if there isn't additional people. Let's save and next. And then any additional consultants. We do recommend that if you're not used to developing, especially if you're a nonprofit and it's something that you just haven't been available to, have and participate with and all that type of stuff that's new for you, please we would like you to consider getting a development consultant to kind of help you get through all the processes, because there's a lot to do, especially when you think about zoning, if you already haven't taken care of that, the environmentals, Davis-Bacon, maybe Weeby, all those different entity pieces. A development consultant is really useful. Also a federal compliance administrator. So that's the person who actually processes the Davis-Bacon and the Weeby and all those Section 3 things. So we highly recommend those particular consultants. You could possibly be working with your local jurisdiction. So someone who is at your city or county may actually have some of this knowledge. However, if you don't have someone in either of those places, you may want to consider hiring people to do that. And I'm pretty sure that HOME-ARP can do those. I know we can do a lot of the professional services, especially like architects and things. So I'm pretty close to positive that we could cover development consultants and federal compliance administrators. Jody, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm glad that you brought it up, because David had a question. He wanted to know a little bit more about the Davis-Bacon and Section 3 labor requirements, and is this tied exclusively to 12 non-congregate shelter units? So I told him it's for the 12 plus non-congregate shelter units, and it's regardless of the funding source, that if you're doing new construction for 12 plus units, Davis-Bacon comes into play. Is there anything else you want to add to that, as well as Section 3?
No, it's the same. Section 3 is for everything. So is maybe Weeby for all developments. Davis-Bacon, which has to do with the labor requirements for certain amounts of money for each type of construction job. There's a certain minimum standard that has to be met for payment. And so Section 3 and Weeby, Section 3 is actually making sure that you're doing outreach to ensure that individuals who are benefiting from the development have the opportunity to work on the development if they choose to. And so just making sure that you're opening up jobs to everyone in the community. And then Weeby is looking into minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses to participate in the construction as well. So Section 3 and Weeby are a part of all of our developments. Davis-Bacon is required for any HUD-funded developments with 12 units or more. If you have less than 12, so if HOME-ARP funds 11 or less units, then no, Davis-Bacon does not apply. But if in the whole development, if we fund 12 or more units, then yes, it would apply. So I hope that explains it. So, it's not quite like the environmental, which is they use the kind of leaven in the loaf kind of thing, where if you have a little bit of yeast, it affects the whole loaf with regards to an environmental. With HOME-ARP, if we pay for only a certain number of units or we cover a certain number of units on a site, it would only be for 11 units or less where there would not be Davis-Bacon. So David, I hope that I didn't make that really difficult to understand. I feel like I kind of weaved through it. So I hope that helps.
Courtney has asked, should there only be one account for an organization submitting an application and emphasis?
Well, if there's only one project, then yes. So it should be by project, and then include all the people involved in the project in your emphasis application. So as you could see that there were different developers, there was a section for different entities. So here's the area for different team members. If there's a section that isn't relevant to them, go ahead and put that under, that group under the different team members. You could also use some of the availability in the Excel workbook too, who may not be specifically mentioned. So I hope that helps. Some of the general section fields and questions seem to vary from the Excel spreadsheet posted on the DCA website. Are these question fields listed offline somewhere, or on the grant application? General section fields. Okay, so you need to fill out both. So this is just a general overview. It's not to supplement what's in the Excel workbook. It is a little bit duplicative. Excuse me. David, so you're going to want to fill out both the Excel workbook as much as possible. And then also the details on emphasis. It's not an either or. So that's that. Let me go ahead and add. Okay, great. So copy. So again, see, you just go ahead and put NA into all of these since they're starred. And then you can move on to the next thing. Next is financial information. Super easy. Proposed total development budget funding, and then total NOFO amount requested. So let's just say your whole non-congregate shelter is going to be, $3 million. And you're only requesting 2 from DCA. Okay. So these are the steps for your document uploads. What we tried to do was on the workbook where it has the list of documents for you to have, this is where you upload them. So this would be for your non-congregate shelter plan and budget. Okay. Then you also have your 501c3 determination letter, your audited financial statements. So I would package each of your files, either zip them up in a file folder if there's multiple documents, or put them all into a PDF. I would request that you keep the Excel workbook as an Excel workbook and not as a PDF. I know that the information may be a lot in that workbook, but it makes it easier for us to review just to go from tab to tab. If you're worried about any of the information, wanting to secure it, you can totally lock it if you want to and protect it. That's totally fine. But it's just the tabs make it easier to review information versus having to scroll through full PDFs. So if you can leave it as an Excel workbook, we would appreciate that. And then you can upload all of the individual files. We like it this way simply because we are able to see all the separate documents instead of having to work through a lot of files. So that's nice. So we have 2 questions, it looks like. Can an organization submit an application for an acquisition project and another application for a new construction project? The projects are in 2 separate counties. I don't see why not. I know in the rental housing NOFO, we stated only 1 application. Do we state that for non-congregate shelter, Jody?
Let me verify that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that could be possible. So just know that we have $7.7 million. So it would be great to have 7 different projects, $1 million each. But I know that there's a lot of need out there too. So, and just like Jody had stated before, those in the balance of state are going to be preferenced. We do want to encourage groups from the entire state to apply. But we also do recognize that this particular funding is for the balance of state. And so we want to honor that and make sure that we're reaching out to all different areas of Georgia. So just be aware of that as far as where you're asking for money. But with regards to the separate counties, especially if you have a regional. So for example, if you're wanting to start a regional coordinated entry, this would be awesome. So if you don't have regional coordinated entry and you're wanting to kind of get some stuff going, supportive services, which is going to be out today, it's going to look similar to this with emphasis as well. We decided to use emphasis last minute instead of e-civis. So you can apply for the outreach if you're not already doing outreach for supportive services. And you could do that through supportive services, and then also look at building out your non-congregate shelters and or rental housing with this particular funding. So it's really kind of great to all work together. Also, you can request from the non-congregate shelter separate supportive services that we've been calling the additional funding or seed funding to go with both the non-congregate shelter and rental housing. So I know I just talked a lot about that. And yeah, I hope it's not too overwhelming. Okay, great. Another question from Leah. I work for the Salvation Army, awesome, and have been looking at the required documents, and it reports an audit from a CPA is required. We have our own auditors through a divisional territorial headquarters. Is that with our own auditors? Is that okay? That's fine. We just want to make sure that it's double checked and is thorough, and as far as it being we're trying not to be we're trying to make sure that we allow a lot of people to apply and get funded. So if your auditing practices are internal, that's great. I would probably include your 990 as well, just to make sure that we can see the full variety of all of your activity. So that's not required. We didn't state it in the NOFO, but a 990 would help just to include additional information. So if you want to, just because it's through the IRS, that kind of thing. So probably going above and beyond with this particular application, I highly recommend. So does that answer your question, Leah? Okay, perfect. Oh, I got a Ryan thumbs up. So Leah, just let me know. Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, so let's look at certification. And again, you can just click on these and make sure. But the good part about the check boxes at the end is you can see what you've done and where you've kind of finished. So this is the full certification, and basically it just goes through, yes, everything is true, everything is real, that DCA is just doing the best it can. And then go ahead and fill out your applicant name and then your date and save it, and then we're done. So that is that's that. So thank you all for letting me do a really quick emphasis training. What I'll probably do is I do it again at the office hours that we have on Thursday. I think it's is it office hours, Jody?
Yes, on Thursday.
Yeah. We have a lot going on right now, guys. We're in a sprint, so thanks for running with us. So that's kind of the next thing. And then what else? Yeah, so we're going to be posting the link by the end of the day. We just got to get clearance from our marketing team, and I got to just do some general shifting on the website. So this should be posted by the end of the day. And then we have our office hours, which is just kind of general to talk about supportive services or non-congregate shelter on Thursday. And then for supportive services, since we're doing the rolling approvals, what we may do is share the information and then have it start on like a certain day. I'm thinking even like Thursday morning, where everyone can start submitting all at the same time. Just because we're doing those rolling approvals for those who are in the balance of state for HOME-ARP. So those are areas that did not receive their own HOME-ARP funding earlier. Okay. So Yeah, that's any other questions? And y'all, I changed the requirements for the webinar, so you can all go off mute and talk to us if you would like. That's an option. Do these funds also assist with furnishings and appliances, etc., for the non-congregate shelter, or strictly the building construction? No, that's great, Leah. Those are really good questions. Um, Actually, no, it does not. I even double checked the FF&E, and we can't do that for non-congregate shelter. Um, so that's for the whole, like all the money. We can't even do it for rental housing. So, you would have to find that from a different funding source. Ryan is asking again if as far as whether an applicant can submit more than one application.
I did not see within the NOFO where there's a limit.
Okay.
Like you said, we only have so much funding for non-congregate shelter, but if you want to submit more than one, do that.
And part of that too is just to make sure that you know, we're going throughout a lot of different areas. We're looking for well-organized, groups that are working with their local coordinated entry system or starting their own coordinated entry system. So, okay, hold on a second. I think it's Oscar. I believe it's Oscar. Okay, cool. So for the multiple applications, it really is just about the um, how the type of application you submit and if it's well thought out. So really we're looking for well thought out plans, things that are shovel ready. So just know that shovel ready piece is kind of important for this, just because we want to go into a written contract as soon as possible. And once we sign a written contract, you need to break ground within 12 months. So if there's still kind of stuff you got to work out, this may not be the grant for you. And I know that the timing stinks if that's the case, because we definitely want to make sure that all the opportunities get met as much as we can. But sometimes the timing just may not work out. So just know that. But you have to be fairly shovel ready in order to get the funding. For nonprofits hiring consultants, what is the consultant fee limit? We're going to have to copy that question and we'll have to post that to our Q&A, Oscar. I think it's Oscar because you gave me a thumbs up. So, because you've been on other of our webinars before, I believe. So,
Yes.
yeah. So we'll have to copy your question and post it later on, because we need to do a bit of a dive into our regulations just to make sure to check on that. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure we can fund them, but the consultant fee, I mean, I would probably say the limit should be something that makes
Hey,
sense.
Alona, we can just wait. We can just wait and follow up on that one.
Okay. Thanks, Lorianne. She knows I want to answer all the questions right away and give some sort of answer. We'll get back to you and we'll let you know. Other questions? So let's, I'm going to pull the website real quick, Jody.
Okay.
While we're waiting for more questions. Give me a minute. I want to make sure I logged out first. Okay. So for those of you who are wondering where to find the information. If you want to go ahead and sign up for listserv, if you've not already received it, you can sign up for our newsletter, which basically we send out fairly regularly. So I'll send another one out today to let y'all know that everything is posted, like an emphasis and things. So that's one thing to start looking into if you don't already have that. Here under the public notices, so here's the HOME-ARP page, and down towards the middle is our public notices. You can see our open for public comment. Our substantial amendment is here. So you can go ahead and download that or submit an online public comment form if you'd like, to say, anything from great job, or what about this, or have you thought about this? So that's a way to give us some feedback. And then for a non-congregate shelter, the Q&As are going to be posted right here. We just finished the last Q&As that Jody went through, and so we've got to get those posted on here. It'll probably be either today or tomorrow. So then that way you can look here for those, but Jody already went through them, so you already know. And then the emphasis link is going to be here as well, and it's probably going to be this first section. So you'll see a third bullet point just a little bit, and that'll be where you can find the link to emphasis to register and then start all of your work. Okay. Any other thoughts, Jody?
No, I don't think so at this time. I hate to be so repetitive about the needs assessment. That's not something that you have to hire someone to do. It's something that you can do for your own organization. It's stated throughout, but you can use the census tract info, the point in time count, and Alona and I both like to use Community Commons, which is a fantastic website to get any data information that you may need. I see that Ryan does have he has a question in the chat.
Yeah. So I have a note about the plan and budget workbook. On the application tab, section 3, project scope, item G, utilities asks us to check items, but no options are provided. So what we'll do is, Ryan, we will, I'm going to copy your statement here. We're going to have to double check that, especially since we have about 5 minutes left. That's a good note. Thank you. We'll go ahead and put an update on the website, and if we feel a need to, we'll either let you know what to put and just type in, or we'll give you kind of like a, kind of almost like a patch in order to complete it and just add something to that particular section. So we'll do that with you. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. We're at 5 more minutes. Yeah, because wow, it's already 2:00. This day has gone by fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're excited to get out the supportive services to y'all. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that it was really clear, and eCivis. Okay, good. Glad it was very helpful. Yeah, eCivis was not as user friendly for us, so I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to give you guys something kind of a little bit easier that anyone can just quickly access and register and move through and upload everything. So the supportive services is going to be similar, just a lot of simple questions. Okay. So with regards to emphasis, just go ahead and complete the application and we'll go from there. Anything else, Jody?
No, I wanted to put, and it's going to be posted online. I wanted to put the direct form that they can reach to submit a question if they don't want to do it here in this public forum, if they want to do it online. I just want to share it in the chat again, that site where you can upload a question through the non-congregate shelter NOFO survey. We check those throughout the day. And again, like Alona said, the questions, we've been keeping up with them. And as we get solid answers to all the questions, these will be uploaded on the website for y'all to check.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead. It's 1:58. If anyone comes on at 1:59, we'll just go ahead and talk with them. So if y'all want to check out, you absolutely can. We're going to stay on probably for the full 2 additional minutes, just to make sure we catch everyone. But if you want to go, please feel free. And if you have any other questions, just reach out. You can email us. Jody monitors the HOME-ARP at dca.ga.gov really, really well. And so we also have those Q&As coming out. And so thanks, Jody. And then, yeah, just go ahead and let us know if you guys have any other questions. We look forward to all of your applications.
Absolutely.
I feel like you are so welcome. Thanks, everyone, for all your thanks. We are here for you, or at least we certainly try to be, that's for sure.
Right. Absolutely.
I feel like we're almost like post people. Come rain, come shine, rain,
Absolutely.
shine, snow, sleet. We will be here for you.
Absolutely.
1 more minute. I wonder if the people who started Jeopardy really thought, because that whole do is going through my head. They knew it was going to be that popular. Okay, we're at 2:00. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.